Good evening, everybody. Okay, I'm pretty sure we're in kind of the summer doldrums. The kind of was had the at least the insights with the doji on Friday that if they open this lower today, we were still stuck sideways or maybe even a downtrend. So we're still in a very indecisive trading environment. And the NASDAQ, more importantly, when it opened, it gapped down almost to the previous day's open and went the opposite direction. Not quite a kicker signal, but still very indicative that the buyers weren't there. They were selling once the index hit the 50-day moving average. And crude oil still slowly drifting back, but not really going anywhere. See if there's anything else out there that's moving around any. Gold, still in a significant downtrend. And silver, kind of bottoming out here a little bit. Soybeans not doing much of anything. All right. Okay, we recommended ARQT today based upon this slow curve doji sandwich breakout of this obvious resistance level. That usually produces a, oops, still not back to wave 3, produces this kind of wave. Again, kind of a breakout resistance level, pretty obvious. And look where the doji occurred, pretty much right smack dab at that level. Darn, can you? Well. ABEO, this is not an unusual occurrence. When you see that fry pan bottom, not unusual to see this whipsaw. And that's usually the blast off for the next strong price move. Now, there's others that had good charts, but today's indecisiveness, for example, Fate was wave 1, wave 2, going into wave 3, except look what we had on Friday. A bearish Harami doji, which told us if they started selling this off, where was the next likely target? Coming back to the T-line. You add the fact that the markets themselves were selling off and things pulling back. It was time to take some profits. So anything that did not look aggressive today, I mean, the reason they were acting well prior to this, what did I just e-dog? Then they had selling. When you now look at this chart, what could have been a good steady uptrend is now a little bit questionable. So if you're starting to get questionable positions at the same time the market itself is starting to look a little squeamish, just say, yeah, is this the best place to have my money, or should I be coming out or take some profits and then see if there's a better situation? Same thing on fat. Bearish Harami on Friday, and then started trading lower. Definitely would have had a stop. Let me make this bigger so we can see it. A logical place to have a stop was right here at the low of the doji. There's this simple expectation that if they came back down through the low of the doji after doing a harami up here in the overbought area, where were they heading? They were heading at least back to the T-line. Take your profits. Worst case scenario is it bounces back up. You can always bounce or buy back on indications that they're doing a J-hook type pattern. But why risk sitting in something where you can see where the probabilities have started to go against you? We can see that right here on FIGS. Nice uptrend, doji right at the 50. Started trading lower. Once again, if it came back down through the low of the doji, what was it telling us? They weren't going in this direction. They were confirming the selling, profit taking. What's our next strategy? Watch to see if it does kind of a bobble breakout. Etsy, kind of the same scenario. Traded lower. Where was the first likely target? Back here to the T-line. Where was your logical safety stop? At the doji low. Let's see. In your observation, when we have patterns that include a doji candle like a doji best friend, McMuffin, right above the 50 or 200, will there be much higher chances of success than those patterns that are not right above? No. The chances of success are probably just as good. The only difference is if you see a McMuffin pattern just below the 50, that still tells you there's probably more upside. But it also just gives you that extra a little bit of alert to say, all right, if I'm buying, you're below the T-line or below the 50, then let's watch to see what happens at the 50, just to confirm that there was enough strength in the signal to take it through. Does a harami and a homing pigeon convey the same sentiment? Yes. A harami is a dark candle followed by a green candle or bullish candle, opens above the previous day's open, closes below the previous, I'm sorry, I say that wrong. Opens above the previous day's close, closes below the previous day's open. But if this was a red candle instead of a green candle, it would still be a harami with a more specific title of homing pigeon. But it still requires the same thing. It needs to see a positive open to confirm. Okay. All right. We recommended shorting BGRI. Oh, come on. Lost my mouse. Because you could see the kind of the slow curve. I don't know what that is. Right here at this level that we would perceive as a support level. That if it came down through there, which it did on Friday, that tells us wave 1, wave 2. What's wave 3 indicate? That this level right here is not acting as resistance. That's where people start being a little bit more inclined to sell off. Cork, kind of that same scenario. It didn't sell off very hard today, but you're in a doji sandwich condition. But if this opens lower tomorrow, look at your double doji. and a doji sandwich. But it's not supporting this level. Look for wave 1, wave 2, wave 3. Let's see. EAR is still working as a nice short. Observe the obvious. They've never been able to bring it back up above the T-line. DAC, kind of the same scenario. Would have been a little bit more iffy here with that gap up, but now it gives you the inclination to go ahead and reshort this. Now that it failed the T-line again, any weakness from here would imply this downtrend remains in progress. Sava has never been able to get back up above the T-line, and it kind of failed again here at the 50. And here's another little indication. Look at the green candle right here. If you were going to short that day, well, that probably wasn't a good day to short. But look what they did the next day. They gapped it down toward the previous day's open and traded below that level. What's that tell you about the bearish strength? It's still pretty strong. You could stay short on this one or go short on this one. And this one just had the combination of a bearish engulfing signal followed by a potential doji sandwich. Not only an engulfing signal right there at the 50, right at the same level it topped out before, giving you a double top. Where do you think your first likely target's going to be? Back here to the 50. So this is and what was the other one? Was it fun? You can see exactly where the selling occurred. Evening Star, Hanging Man, closed below the T-line. Where do you think the next target is? Resistance, support, somewhere down in this range. So all of this is, there's nothing magical about identifying a sell signal in the overbought area right at a level everybody else was watching. What's that telling you? That's where everybody decided to take profits and start selling. Did I do Etsy? I did. Oh, that was a misprint. So there's your slow trend. It looked like a good trade on Friday when it was trading positive, but when it came back down through the open, where did it put you? Well, it put you in a position that told you the bulls weren't in control that day. They couldn't get through this level. If you didn't close it out there, you definitely closed it out here. Now, the next scenario is, now you got a bearish best friend in the overbought area. Where's your first target? Right here, the bottom of this channel. And the strength of that bearish best friend implies that could be your first target and then some. And then some could be all the way back down into this range. The biggies kind of also give a clue as to whether the market is, or the direction of the market. You can see on Amazon, that's a very non-directional trade. Apple, if this opens lower tomorrow, where are you? You're back in this kind of sideways channel, which would not be out of line as far as identifying the overall market trend. NVIDIA, look where it opened. At the lower end of the previous day's trading. What's that implying? The bears are still in control in this downtrend. And Netflix not only had the implication, but it also had a very strong sell signal. And There's your bearish Harami Doji, right smack dab on the 50, and then they take it down today. Another wedge type formation that if you're inclined to short this one, whoops, somewhere right in there, you just watch to see if they break this level. If they break this level, still got a lot more downside. And again, that's more than likely going to be a function of the direction of the market itself. Tesla, this is just kind of simple logic observation. If this was kind of a breakout area right here at the 50, what did you want to see happen in this area? A breakout. When it did this type of trade, if you were long, what's that tell us about the direction of this trade right now? Just nothing there. Probably at this point you want to be trading someplace else. Now, in that same subject, what was it? Twitter. This is a toughie. I mean, that was a good sell signal sitting right here. But because there's so much story to this one, there was no telling whether the next move would be up here. So, I don't know. We'll take a look at Labu real quick. Well, Labu is less, I mean, you knew when it came back down through this level, more than likely it was coming back to test the T-line. Now you just watch to see what it does this area. So we pointed out today, and this one will probably be on your recommended list tomorrow. This is why we're doing the top ranked signals and pattern session in a couple weeks, because what we want to do is on market conditions that doesn't really show any major trend to it, we still have the ability to identify which signals and patterns have the strongest potential. Now, there may not be a lot of them in a sideways market, but the ones that we do identify, whether it's instead of having 15 or 20 good trade setups, you may only have 4 or 5, but we've got the ability to track down those 4 or 5. So ICL has a couple of factors going for it. One, your little best friend gap up off the T-line. 2, a bunch of dojis down here in the oversold area. And 3, that gap up kind of makes an island reversal. Where do you think your first logical targets are? First target, second target. But what's the indication of this down here? Lots of indecision. Now they've told you which way they're taking it. They broke this downtrend. Watch to see which targets they're likely to hit. And so Magic, to answer your question, which I remember you asking, why wouldn't you buy Coco on positive trading? The answer is you would buy Coco on positive trading, because that gap up doji gives you at least a good, clear trading platform. The doji rule, that if they open this positive, what's happening? That first initial major change of investor sentiment is continuing on the follow-through. And Box, this is why you want to know the little implications applied to our indicators. Look at your T-line crunch. Look at your doji sandwich bobble breakout at this point. That becomes a kind of a bobble breakout. And then what are we looking for? If they can get through the 50, and notice how they got through the 50 with the T-line continuing its push up through the resistance level of the 50. Still wouldn't be afraid to be buying this one on positive trading. That T-line crunch is the indication that the sellers are not coming in at all. TH, we showed this as an illustration in our in the YouTube, which basically shows us that anytime we see a kicker signal, that's telling you there's been a major change of investor sentiment. You start seeing a kicker signal and gapping up, that means that major change of investor sentiment is getting good bullish confirmation. And if it goes through this level, showing you that, oh, I hate when I do this. Well. Oops, one more. But now you're in the next wave. We don't know how strong that next wave is likely to be. Okay. People were pointing out Viru today. And look what was kind of the instigator for Viru. The double doji. Now, did Viru close higher than this after hours? Anyways, look where it did push toward. So you got a double doji at the bottom of the trend channel. What are we looking for at this point? They break through this level. There's this new wave starting. That was the next one, Andrew. If this was a T-line crunch, kind of your fry pan bottom, all you can do here right now is stay long until you see a sell signal. And CTXS, your T-line crunch, kind of your doji sandwich at the breakout area. Another one you could still be buying because if this trade's positive, where are you? You're heading up through that kind of resistance level. So there's still some good trade setups. And as I was kind of pointing out in the afternoon comments, that even though you're in a sideways market, there's 9,500 trading entities out there. And on any given day, no matter how lethargic the overall market trend seems to be, very simple scans can show you which ones have the best potential upside. So you got kind of your little doji bullish confirmation, kind of a left-right low. And what else did it do? It broke the T-line. Where's your next target? Probably back up here to test this level. So there's always going to be some good trades out there, no matter how few and far between, because more than likely you're not going to need any more than 2 or 3, even if it's 1. Okay, all right. CTXS was approved buyout from Vista. All right. Let's see. What did I just do? CEIX. This is your 3. Well, it was a little bit different on the TC2000 charts. It looked like your 3 white soldiers. But there's your hammer, gap up bullish confirmation. So where do you think your next target is likely to be? Up here, or at least breaching this area. Let's see. So it was a buyout at 104. All right. So it doesn't have a whole lot more upside potential. All right. That's good to know. This one must have been a trading up after hours because it looked like kind of your double bullish flutter kicker signal above the T line. So keep an eye on this one. Let me see if I can bring this one up. Yeah, so that was trading up after hours apparently. Oops, maybe not. That's kind of unusual. That shows there was one share. I think that's right. Am I getting this right? That there was one share traded up there. So anyway, so I'd watch this one on positive trading. Now on the bearish side, whoops, look to short this one, POD, PDD, as your bearish best friend. First target right here, kind of coinciding with filling that gap. But there's a lot of strength that could take you right down through that. And the gambling stocks were down. I guess are they shutting everything down in China? So this one Las Vegas Sands can be shorted on weakness tomorrow. And Wynn Resorts can be shorted on weakness tomorrow. I'm trying to think of some of the other casinos, but I can't think of them right now. Okay, that's, yep, so they're shutting them down over there. That's it. We looked at Fun. Fun is a nice, strong bearish chart. And Band, come on. Band also has the sell signal right there at the 50 in this downtrend, making, especially with your bearish best friend, making this area a logical target. Upwork. Where was this supposed to break out? Right about there. What happened? They failed. So might not be your best short, but there's your logical target. How come I couldn't think of those? MGM, another one you could short on weakness. And Caesars, another one you could short on weakness. Whoops. Yeah, that one you could short, but you're right at the limit of being able to short it. Wayfair, this is again, observe the obvious. Where did this run into resistance? Right there and at the 50 with a bearish Harami. Where do you think the next target is going to be? There or right in there. So anytime you see your sell signal, especially a strong sell signal, kind of a doji gap down, not quite a best friend, but same implications. That's pretty good evidence that that's where they started selling or were taking profits. LPSN, same thing. Resistance level. Look for it to sell off. down into this range. And Weibo, nice dumpling top, gap down best friend, right in this range of a support level. If this opens lower, what's it indicating? Oh, for crying out loud. Wave 1, wave 2, look for wave 3 down into this range. And Zoom, another one that you can see where it failed. Right at this level, right at this level. If you're shorting this one on weakness, the first target is to see whether they can get down through the 50. Then there's your next target. Yeah, I'm guessing, Jay, it still takes big bucks to get a big casino set up. So anyways, more than likely, if the market isn't terrible, it doesn't even really have to be terrible. It can be terrible tomorrow. Still might want to take a look at ICL because of the dojis, gap up island reversal. There you go. And Cocoa, I would anticipate probably coming back up to test this level. All right. Whoops. The transportation index also moving basically sideways, and the SPY. Now, this sideways motion is, again, kind of illustrating the fact that we're in the summer doldrums. Now, the summer doldrums obviously have their name because everything goes flat. But we don't have to take that for granted. The sage sayings. We can see if there's a summer doldrums, what the market's actually doing. There's been a lot of times when you got to the summertime, you made some big profits because the market was telling us differently. That could be a resistance, but you don't know. That's probably your first target. So even if you buy here and it hits your first target, you're going to be up 7-8%, just hitting that first target. Bruce, have no idea. I don't even try to analyze that type of thing. Yes, Magic. If this opens, something's telling you they were buying this with great resiliency today, and the market wasn't good. So this is going back to that analysis that even in a sideways or dismal market, there's still something going on where you've got strong bullish trade setups. So that might be one of your bullish positions. But if you've got 10 positions on, maybe it's one of 2 or 3 bullish positions where you might now be more inclined to be going after more of the short side because that seems to be the drift of the market. Bruce, again, answering your question, I don't try to make an analysis of what an announcement what an announcement might do. Because I'm not smart enough to know what everybody else is thinking out there. But What we do want to see is what is everybody else thinking. Now, when I say everybody else, tons of money is allocated from big money managers, that they're making their decisions by buying 10, 20, 40, $100 million of positions at a time. So they have thought everything through very diligently, probably for the last 2 weeks, 2 months, whatever. So they're making their decisions. So we want to see what everybody's decisions are that have been analyzing what they're going to do with big positions. And that's all I'm interested in, is what is the market telling me versus what do I think the market's going to do. Okay. There you go. Yeah. So here's the logic. If we don't know which way the market wants to go, or another way to say it, the market doesn't know which way it wants to go, then you don't need to have a lot of money at risk. Or the other side of the coin is, if there's no trend of the market, maybe you have both long and short positions on at the same time. So I'm going to kind of figure just a very simple logic strategy. If we think things are selling off, we want to be predominantly short. If we think things are heading up, predominantly long. If it's sideways, maybe half long, half short. And unfortunately, if we're sitting in this type of market condition, here we are in the middle of July. And yes, you can sit on cash, or again, even though the numbers or the magnitude of good positions out there aren't going to be as good as if the market was trending one way or the other, out of the 9,500 trading entities, there's still going to be 1, 2, 3 excellent buys and 1, 2, 3 excellent shorts. We just have, again, the capability of being able to identify those. Okay. Somebody was asking a question earlier. The top ranked signals and patterns are taking the information that we've already kind of convey over and over. Where are things likely to happen in a bullish side? Very simply, when the stochastics are in the oversold condition. Let's see, now I forgot what I was saying. Oh, so a buy signal, like a Morningstar signal, is good. But there are about 15 combination signals and patterns, like your best friend signal, like your doji sandwich, your bullish flutter kicker signal, bobble breakout, things that have a lot more potential to them for two aspects. One, because of the probability of the trade, and two, the magnitude that's likely to come from that trade. So anyways, that kind of takes your visual analysis up to the kind of the next little level. If you know your signals and patterns, now if you start concentrating on taking that information and fine-tuning it into the best signals and pattern, the reversal signals and patterns, you're just improving your probability of not only being in the right place at the right time, but also in a trade that has much stronger potential to move. So One of those obviously is going to be the kicker signal, because this has great ramifications as far as telling you there's a major change of investor sentiment. Okay, are there any general questions on candlestick analysis? If not, Jim, go ahead and do the double line. And in 3.6 seconds, do the next double line. OC. Nothing wildly exciting. You do have your buy signal down here. All you can do right now is stay long on this one. Potential of coming back up to the 50. New. That one, not anything good. Possible short, yes. You could short this one on weakness, figuring you've got a wave 1, wave 2, going into wave 3. I'm going to, whoops, look at that one again. AFib. AFib, you could be buying this one. Make sure your volume stays good. I think when I looked at it, it was about 900,000 during the day. So you can buy this J-hook pattern. And TIPT, you can see you're at the top of this channel, but still got stochastics. If they break through this level, just watch to see what happens up at this level, at the 200. The 20-year bonds kind of flat, not really moving around at all, which they really haven't been doing all that extensively here for the last few weeks. Still kind of in a sideways wedge formation. XLF, nothing. Financial sector, again, when you see the financials selling off, that means, here's Goldman, that means the market doesn't have any great strength to it. XLC, you still got that factor of if they can get it down through this level, look for a wave 1, wave 2, now going into wave 3. OCGN, if you're long, all you can do right now is stay long. But if it closes below the T-line, I tell you they're taking the wind out of the sails, move on to something else. You can get ready to short this one. Oh, that's a China internet. Short this one, especially if it comes down through the 50. Facebook. That's kind of ugly also. If you had been long, you would have been out of it today. If you're thinking of going short, either below this level or below this level. Six Flags. That one you can get ready to short. That's a good short. If it did kind of break through this level. If it opens lower, wave 3. INMD, that's a nothing chart. They failed at the 50. They're still going sideways. I'd be someplace else. The housing. You got to watch now to see if they can stay up above the 50. But look at your little shooting star. If this opens lower, you're out of it, and it's probably implying that the housing stocks are also going to be selling off. Toll Brothers, Beazer, yep, they all seem to have gotten weak today. XLF and the financial sector. Yep. Morgan Stanley, JP Morgan, whoops, Wells Fargo, all nothing exciting there. AMC, it's still in the game, or is this one of the Robinhood? If you're long, stay long. Not a real exciting chart, but you can stay long. Yeah, they usually will act better, meaning the when interest rates are going up, they get a little bit better earnings. But as you can see, interest rates are still kind of just waffling down here. Let's see, the DWAC warrants, they're not coming up over here. DWAC traded below where they opened. No, they didn't. Traded above where they opened. That has the potential now to be buying it again. So I'm sure the warrants are kind of acting the same way. Didn't we do Labu earlier? Labu needs to stay above the T-line. If it opens lower tomorrow, yeah, they've taken the wind out of that sector also. All right. Unfortunately, there is nothing exciting in this market trend right now. So I wish I could. There's a couple that look good. Coco. What was the other one? Box and ICL on the long side. Oh, that's one that has already left the barn. But look at some of these shorts and observe the obvious. Going to the gym. Good for you, Saki. All right, everybody. We will see you bright and early tomorrow morning. Have a nice summer evening. We'll see you in the morning.